Hey guys, and welcome to the FitPro Social with me, David Kyle.
And me, Ash Burleigh.
Hey, super quick before we get into this week's episode. If you'd love a load of guides on how to generate more leads, how to chase sales, Canva graphics for your social media, Facebook ads, copy, and so much more for free, simply head over to thefitproportal.com/free. Anyway, let's dive into this week's episode. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of the FitPro Social. This week, we have a guest, so you don't have to just listen to me and Ash argue with each other. This week, you can listen to three of us argue with each other about any particular topics. Joe, how are things?
Yeah, good, actually. Better than ever, if I'm being honest, with work and everything like that. So it's raining a lot today, which is quite dismal, but other than that, all good. How are you?
We're doing good. Like I say, busy all the time. Obviously, the storm. I don't know whatever the name
Babiat,
of
is
the
it, or
storm
something
is.
like that? It's called today.
Yeah.
Storm Babiat, something along those lines.
And did it say last night that like Scotland have like a warning for life-threatening storm conditions or something like a?
Really?
Something
I
like
don't
that.
hear
Yeah.
that.
It just rains all the time here in Wales.
I was going to say, is this just not like a standard Friday?
Standard
I had
day in
to think,
Wales.
had to think what day it was.
Cool. Okay. Joe, who are you? Like, where did you start? Where are you now? So we can have a better idea of the topic that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, sure. So name is Joe Mitton, owner of MittFit, and recently started a new company called Retention RR as well. MittFit is a fitness company which is 7 years old, based in Cambridge. Have come a long way with that. There's been an interesting journey. Dave and I actually did a podcast episode together in lockdown about things that were kind of happening with that. Started out thinking I was going to become a physio, went to college, did A levels, whole uni thing, realized wasn't for me. Then had to think of a new plan, started doing a level 2 in fitness instruction as like my backup, and then kind of had to break it to my parents that that wasn't actually going to be a backup, that was going to be the career choice. Much to their dismay at the time. However, my mum is a fully fledged client now with about 7 MittFit hoodies, and she's at so many sessions that people go, "I'll see you later, mum," and they'll be like, "Wait, that's your mum?" Like they have no idea that she's my mum because she's so into it as a client. And yeah, so kind of I took my time, but I showed her it was going to be worth it. Very much the classic story of couldn't get into university based off my A levels. Didn't really want a structured standard 9 to 5. So kind of just threw everything out the window and went all in on this. Went self-employed in November 2015 when I was 21. Having just spent a year at David Lloyd learning my craft. I was in a gym a year before that, just a local one, getting qualified. So really only had 2.5 years experience. And the best part about that story is out of all of the personal trainers at David Lloyd, I was the quietest one. Not with regards to speaking. Obviously, I chat a lot. Anyone who knows me knows that. But with regards to sessions, I just didn't, their model wasn't working for me. And I would always be there like, how are these people so busy? Like, what am I doing wrong? Like I've got A levels in biology, chemistry, and PE, and I feel like I'm a nice guy, and my group training classes are super busy. Like I got the group training from just training on the gym floor to we had our own space in a tennis court with our own kit and a waiting list, and it went from 2 or 3 people to 25 maxed out. And I was like, the group training stuff I'm killing, but I just couldn't manage to get it going in the one-to-one side of things. So I left David Lloyd and was like, look, I'm just going to do it on my own. And I felt like I knew what was going to work. I was struggling to ascertain why it wasn't working. And I was like, this is how I want to run it. This is how they need us to run it. For some reason, that's butting heads. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I left David Lloyd and I went out on my own. And yeah, the first month self-employed was bigger than any single month I had at David Lloyd in the whole 14 months I was there. And that was just my first month. And I was like, okay, I'm not the problem. That's not to say David Lloyd were the problem. That was just, I didn't fit their system.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I need to learn. I actually, when I was my first gym job, I started learning a lot from Bedros Koulian, who started Fit Body Bootcamp. He had a lot of blogs, a lot of YouTube videos. This was kind of way before all these influencers and stuff. So I learned a lot about him. And again, he was driven down a group training model. So I was like, right, I'm going to do PT. I'm going to get really busy at that. I'm going to get loads of client results, loads of testimonials. Then I'll transition over to the groups. And yeah, we've done that. I've done everything from, we work with a lot of homeless charities in Cambridge. We're working with a lot of schools in Cambridge, everything up to, I delivered a talk last year to 40,000 people as part of a global conference for the second biggest courier company in the world. I've done talks at many different billion-dollar companies. I've worked with celebrities. I've worked with CEOs and founders. I've worked with billionaires. I've worked with homeless people, and I've worked with everything in between. I've expanded to locations. I've had to then shut those locations down because things weren't working. We've then taken over other companies. We're in the process of taking over another company now. I've done everything from turning up to a boot camp and having no one there, to standing in front of 8 cameras with a whole production team talking to 40,000 people across the world for 10 minutes. So I've done everything with regards to fitness. I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world. I've written articles for Reebok. I've been interviewed by the BBC Lakeist a couple of times. I was called onto LBC Radio to talk on TV to those guys. I've won awards, local awards, for my services to my community. I've personally worked with over 600 clients at my one location here in Cambridge, through my workshops and everything, well over 50, 60, 70,000 people. My meal prep company under MittFit, we delivered 1,000 meals last year to kids on the HAF program. So they're kids on free school meals that wouldn't normally get meals during summer holidays. We delivered over 1,000 of those to those kids last year. We're working with 2 or 3 homeless charities at the minute. We're doing bits with the YMCA. We're working with universities and schools. We're just fully in to just anything health and fitness, and changing the perspective and the mindset around that, and kind of reducing the negativity around it, and trying to take a new approach of personalizing things where we can. So where we work with the homeless charities, we're looking at fighting addiction. Where we work with our clients, we're looking at dropping a couple of dress sizes. Where we're going into schools, we're working about getting kids active and enjoying it. When we were doing the meal prep stuff, it was finding new meals that are tasty and enjoyable, but also nutritionally dense. So every single aspect we look at within the fitness industry, we're very much trying to pioneer a new way of looking at things in a personalizable way, rather than going, here's my program, give me 20 quid, good luck. It's a case of like, where are you at right now? What do you need? How do we make that work for you? And we've built a really loyal following. I've shipped out MittFit hoodies to all over the world to people I've never even met. They've just said, I like your stuff. Can I buy a hoodie? And I'm like, if you want, if you really, that's what you want. Yeah, that's what you want to spend your money on. Yeah. So I like to, and another little caveat to that is I'm trying to be more open about this. Is I have 2 chronic conditions as well. So I have Crohn's, which is inflammatory bowel disease, which affects day-to-day living. I also have liver disease, PSC, which is quite a serious liver condition, which will most likely kill me at some point. So it's a case of doing as much as I can, while also trying to remember that everyone's on a ticking time clock. We are always 1 second closer to that inevitability, but mine is very much apparent. So I'm kind of it's a reminder to get everything done while I'm still physically able and capable to do that. So
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm trying to think what best way to start that. I love it. Like, it's great. There's plenty of things to talk about. I definitely want to talk about that last bit you just got over, but before we kind of...
Hey, it's going to pause it there for literally 2 seconds. If you're loving this week's episode, please let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. The more people we can get subscribing, the bigger guests we can get, and the more people we can help with the content being shared. Anyway, let's dive back into today's episode.
Actually, let's talk about that bit first, actually, before we bring it right back to the beginning, because there were some stuff I want to talk about around that move from David Lloyd to being on your own, and some of the differences between it. But at that point, did you know about these conditions and stuff that you got, or was this something new? And the conditions you got now, has that changed how you approach aspects of your business?
Had to. I look back to, so I was diagnosed with Crohn's in September 2019. So literally just had 4-year anniversary for that. I was diagnosed with early onset PSC during lockdown. And then that was confirmed after a liver biopsy last summer that I definitely have it. And that's caused by the Crohn's. So 90% of people that have PSC have Crohn's. It's the only liver disease that's not attributed to alcohol abuse. So I'm not like a party hard guy. I am into my fitness. I'm not secretly just necking vodka every session. Yeah, so I look back at when I first started, and I was like, everyone who knows, it says getting shit done. I don't even know if I can swear, but it says that on my stuff. Every time I'm on my stories every day, I'm like busy. I'm always on the go, and I always have been. I can't really sit still. But it's kind of like, when you speak to like 50, 60-year-olds and like, oh, I can't do it like I used to when I was 20. That's how I feel now. But it's, instead of being 30 years, it's been 4 years, 4 or 5 years. I've gone from 3-4 hours of sleep, working 18-hour days consistently, to now everyone knows on a Sunday, I have a lie-in. I don't really speak to anyone. I take my dog for a long walk, and that's pretty much it, because otherwise I can get into a flare-up, which has happened before. And then that leads to me in hospital. So I have to be better. And it's quite good in a way, because it forces me to do things I wouldn't normally do. It's like, you have to delegate. You have to give responsibility to those that you are paying and trusting. You have to have your systems in place. You have to manage your time better. You have to be productive. I don't have a choice now. Before, it's like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And it's like, I don't have tomorrow, because I only have in Crohn's world, they talk about spoons. You have a set amount of spoons per day. And it's like, today I might have 10 spoons. I'm on it. Tomorrow I might have 1. And it's like, I don't want to be there on a down day thinking I just need rest, but then beating myself up because I didn't do those things yesterday when I had energy. So it's like, I've got energy right now. I need to go bang, 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 bang. And everything else takes a back burner, because then tomorrow, if I go, Jesus, I am tired, I'll sit in bed and watch a film for 2 hours, because I have to do that, because it's not me being lazy. It could literally save my life. So it's kind of having to manage all of that has really changed how I approach business. It's 6s and 2 3s, really. It's changed how I approach my business, but also it makes me so grateful that I have a business, so I can manage it in a way that suits me. And then it's kind of in a way.
Sorry, God. I said, was you doing any of that kind of stuff? Say, you said it's going to force you, since being diagnosed with this, to make those changes. Well, go back to when you left kind of David Lloyd, and you weren't really doing as well as you wanted to. And then pretty much that first month you left, things started to change. What did you start implementing that stuff then, and it's just you just had to double down on it, or was it just kind of like you just going through the motions in the early days? Like, did you always have these kind of systems in place and stuff like that?
I've always been obsessed with learning. And I've always been obsessed with, like, I love being an underdog. I love, like, if I'm going to race Usain Bolt, I know I'm going to lose, but I'm going to use the fact that he's quicker to allow me to get a PB. Like, it doesn't matter if you're bigger and better than me. I just need to hit 100% for me. And as long as I know I hit my 100, I can only do that. So like, I'm not going to beat myself up for going further. So I've always read lots of books, listened to podcasts, gone to seminars, worked with some very successful people. I've obviously had extremely successful clients. Being in Cambridge, working in personal training, I've worked with a lot of founders, a lot of successful people doing kind of 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month. One of my clients, she started a company 8-9 years ago. They IPO'd last year or the year before for over £1 billion. Like, I've worked with people that have done stuff like that. So I'm always kind of learning from them. So I've always known, like, look at your weaknesses, hire for those weaknesses. I've always known what I needed to do. It's just a case of like, this is making me have to do it. Yes, it's all those things when you kind of, I know how I want to run my business. I know what I need to do. I just don't have that faffing time now. So it's a hard, I'm obsessed with learning. So I've always watched videos and I've always kind of done that anyway. So I'm always learning off really successful people. I'm just then having that direct push into making those decisions where maybe I would wait a year.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, oh, actually, no, I'm going to trust you with that. And then if it goes to shit, that's fine. I'll deal with that at the time. But equally, it has 50% chance of going well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just taking those risks. Yeah.
I could sit and talk about it all the time. I think it's quite an interesting thing. Maybe one for like a different podcast to kind of break that down and see how that affects business life. So I imagine there's other people who maybe not exactly the same situation, but have similar situations. And it'd be interesting to try and break that down some more. But what I would like to do is kind of bring it back to the topic we're going to talk about today anyway, which was the idea of building a brand and loyalty and the organic growth around it. So I'm guessing from that point where you kind of started, you left David Lloyd and things started to grow, and all those different things you talked about there, like even your mum being like one of your best your followers with 7 t-shirts and things like that. Like, is that the approach you took from the very beginning? Then was it the idea about building community around it, building a brand around it? Like, was that your instant idea when you first started?
Yeah, I wanted to change the world, and I knew I wasn't going to do that at David Lloyd. So I was like, okay, I'll learn what I can, and what I learned was how wrong I was doing things, which is not actually a bad thing. But you don't really learn from your successes. Like playing football at a high level, kind of growing up. Whenever you lost a game, you go into a change room and go, right, what went wrong? You go, when you win, you go, yeah, that was great, and you're kind of like, okay, how do we take that into next week? Whereas like when you lose, you go, okay, why am I losing? What's gone wrong? So I've kind of always had that mindset. But yeah, the goal is I always aim high. I'm like, I want to take over the world. I want to be known all over the world. And like I said, I'll do 100% of what I can do, whether or not I get there. Like, I'm not saying I'm going to be the next Gymshark. I'm not saying I'm going to be the next Christian Guzman, because there is timing, and timing is super important in business. But I wanted to kind of die and leave a legacy, and I want MittFit. And this is obviously this level of thinking is way before I knew I had chronic condition. This is when I was a kid, following football and seeing your Beckhams and your Gerrards and stuff. Like, they have a lasting legacy. I wanted to create a legacy for myself. I wanted people, when I die, I wanted people to say my life was made better because he was in it. And then I kind of cultivated that into a brand. So now people say I am further ahead on my fitness journey. I've achieved a result I've never achieved before. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my body. Whatever that is, whatever that statement is, it is attached to because of MittFit. So, and that's what I kind of try to tell my trainers as well, is we're not just turning up for a session to get paid. We are changing lives. And then it's a case of finding out how do we do that on a massive level. And I remember reading super early on about creating loyal fans. It's 5 times easier to sell to someone who's already bought from you. So it's like, okay, if I've sold you a program and you come on, you like it, you like me, it'll be easier to sell you a hoodie than it will some random person walking down the street. Like, if I want a hoodie, I'll go to Zara. So it's obviously sales wise, it's looking at that, but it's building a loyal fan base that really buy into initially me and eventually the brand. Because it's something that people completely misinterpret is your brand is not your name, your brand is not your logo, your brand is not your color schemes. I don't care how much you paid on Fiverr for a logo. Your brand is synonymous with what it stands for. So when people hear MittFit, they go, oh, that's super fun, that's engaging, people get great results. It's not, oh, it's a screamy, shouty boot camp. It becomes synonymous with the things that it is. And MittFit isn't where it is because of the name MittFit. It's where it is because of the things, the cultures we created and the systems we put in place that allowed this super strong community to grow. That made MittFit what it is. Because MittFit is just a word. So I got my car service yesterday at my mate's garage, and I was talking to his brother because my mate's in Epping now. And he said, oh, what do you do for work and stuff like that? And I told him about MittFit. And then he saw my number plate. My number plate says MittFit. And he's like, oh, I bet that was really expensive. And I was like, well, no, because if you don't know me, that's just letters and numbers. It makes no sense whatsoever. But because you know me, you understand it says MittFit. And that's the power of the brand is using, it's not, he's like, oh, that's so expensive. No, it was a cheap personalized number plate. And the reason I got it is because for me, it says MittFit. And people see that and they say, oh, that's that must be Joe. That's a MittFit number plate. That's really cool. But that's because of MittFit, because without MittFit and without the service we offer, that number plate is just a personalized plate. That means nothing to anyone. So it's really...
Go on, finish up. It's okay.
I was going to say, it's just really working hard on your values. I know Dave did a post about this recently, talking about kind of company values and cultures and stuff like that. And what does it actually stand for? What does it mean? I'm just getting really serious about that. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? Forget money, forget fame, forget all of that. What do you want to do? I want to make a difference. I want to leave the UK in a healthier state than I found it when I was born. I didn't ask to be born. I am here. There is an epidemic going on in the obesity side of things. I want to be a positive part of the solution and not contributing to the problem. I could make millions selling cigarettes and vapes and all of those stuff. I don't do that because that's directly going against my core values as a person and also the values I've instilled in my business. And I think you have to get so serious with that and remember that your reputation is everything. It's taken me 29 and a half years to build up this reputation for MittFit. I can lose that in 5 seconds by doing one silly thing, one stupid. So even before I had the brand I had now, you would never see me falling down the stairs drunk. I don't have those kind of stories, because even at 19, 20, 21, going clubbing, I'd be drinking water, I'd be working the next day, I would be in the gym, I would be making conversations, making connections, because I knew that someday my reputation would be somewhere. So it's kind of foreseeing what you want, reverse engineering that, and then living like you're already there. What does it smell like to be there? What clothes are you wearing? How do you walk? How do you talk? Who do you speak to? Live that life now and then push on forward to that, because then it just becomes part of your kind of created reality, and everything you do will then create that reputation. So like I said, I don't have stories about me getting arrested or falling down the stairs drunk on a night out or sitting in the park doing drugs. Those stories just don't exist for me, because I never did it. Because people go, oh, Joe works really hard, he's really open about his conditions, he does loads of work in schools for free, they do loads of stuff that's who I've always been as a person. So I was like, I need the business to stand for that, because it's personal values as well as business values. And then together we go, okay, how can we monetize that? Obviously, because businesses need to make money, like we all have bills to pay. But it's kind of, it's getting super strict around your core values as a business and not being tempted to sway from that. You can't sway from that. You have, because if you said our core value for MittFit is community, so that doesn't matter how much money you have. Money is not a barrier for us. People don't know this, but I've given away free memberships to people before, because I know they're in a bit of a hard place, and I was like, just turn up, it's fine. And they're like, really? And I'm like, you coming to our sessions will help you get where you're trying to go. You not coming because of money means you're going to be further away from where you want to get to. And I'm essentially saying, I don't want to help you unless you're paying me, which is not the point. The whole point isn't I'm only going to help when you're paying. The whole point is we help anyone as much as we can. If you have the money, yeah, sure, you're paying. Cool, of course you are, you're paying. But if you don't have the money, we'll find a way. Can you give me a review on Google? Can you do a video testimonial? Can you recommend me to friends? Can you help me post some leaflets around? Can you do something that's going to help the business grow?
Hey, just going to pause it there really quickly. If you know any guests that would love to feature, or if you yourself would like to feature on one of these episodes, do let us know by reaching out or letting us know in the comments. Anyway, let's get back into the episode.
At a cost that isn't money. And I think having those open communications and being open to that, obviously it ties the community in better, but it's the core values of community. And the whole point of me setting up MittFit was to change the world for the better. I can't only do that when I'm getting paid.
Joe, hopefully everyone can see how passionate and motivated you are now, and you have these like core values and stuff. So when you bring staff in, how hard is it to convince them to follow your ethos and principles and values? Because like you're saying, when you worked at David Lloyd, they obviously have their own values and principles and stuff that they need their staff to follow. Not saying that you rebelled against those, but they didn't align with you. How were you able, or how can you be able to convince your staff members to make sure that they follow the same ethos and beliefs that you have?
Yes, that's a great question. And that's something that I've kind of learned a lot from some of my failures. Like I mentioned, I opened some other locations, and the coaches, they might see this. So I'm not going to say anything too harsh or anything. They had that motivation, but I was unable to see that those motivations were driven more towards their own growth than it was to helping the collective, which is fine. Like, you don't have to want to make MittFit as big as possible. That's my dream. It's my baby. That doesn't have to be yours. But I think where I don't have the experience, or I didn't have the experience of managing staff, that's when I was 26, 27. We had 3 locations, 6 or 7 trainers, making over 6 figures. I had no experience of managing staff, and I was just under the assumption that everyone had the same values as me. So like integrity, kind of, I'm very much a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it, because I think you strip away money, status, title, everything, and all you have as a man is your word. So I very much live and die by those. Other people don't. And I've learned a very expensive lesson, monetarily wise, but also physically, with the stress that affected my condition and stuff. And it ended me up in quite a bad place. Everything fell apart overnight in a period where I was super ill. My liver flared up. It started to get to the point where it was starting to fail. I ended up jaundiced. I had to go to hospital. I sat down A&E and everything. While this was happening, I was trying to recover, trying to get better. And the business was we lost half of our revenue in the space of a month. Like, it literally fell apart. And I ended up hemorrhaging money trying to keep everything together, and then just shut down the other locations, had to go back to just the one. And then I was at the lowest point I'd ever been to. I was like, okay, this is not good. How do we kind of recover from this? And I was like, we're just going to rebuild from here. And then the staff that come in next time, I'm going to be more tentative to that. And I'm going to make sure that they are very much aligned with my my core values. Jen, who's running our school stuff for us, she's got a 5-year-old son. So for her, changing how kids exercise in schools is so personal for her. For me, it's like, okay, I want to make the nation less fat. Cool, understandable. For her, she's like, I have a 5-year-old. He is in school at this age doing stuff. So for her, it's not just about collecting a paycheck. It's about doing what she would want for her kid. Doesn't get more personal than that. Chris, my new head coach, he's been screwed over before. He's been let down before. He's working in the big corporate gym at the minute. Not really he's struggling to branch out because they conform you to, you have to wear our uniform. You can't do banners. You can't do this. You can't do that. So I've with him coming on board, he when he approached me about joining, he came to me and he said, Joe, I want to be part of something. And that was how he didn't say, I want a job. I want money. I want more sessions. Pay me this, do that. He said, I want to be part of something that is going somewhere and that is changing lives. That was how he approached me for the job. So then straight away, I'm like, okay, core values are aligned. So then I said, right, we'll give you these sessions. This is what I'll pay you. He then went above and beyond. We would have 3-4 hour meetings. And I was like, how much are you going to charge me for that? He's like, don't worry about it. And he would buy the coffee. And I'm like, okay, this is someone who's willing to put their skin in the game. He's got 10 years experience. He's very successful as a trainer. He could easily charge me a lot of money for the time, but he was like, no, we're building. We're in a building phase. I want to prove my worth to you. He's like, you put your trust in me. I want to show you that wasn't misspent. I'm going to give you hours of my time for free because that's the most precious commodity we have. That's the most expensive thing he owns is his time. So then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, that makes sense because I would do the same thing. So now because of the mistakes I've made before, I'm not going, yeah, you're qualified, you're free on Tuesdays, you take the session. Here's 20, 30 quid. It's, okay, why do you want these sessions? Why do you want to be involved? And it's looking at their motivations behind that. And that was more prevalent because of the mistakes I'd made before.
Makes sense. I mean, you can see there how the values, your core values seem to underpin pretty much every part of your business sense, how you're bringing your staff on, how you made those changes behind your brand as a whole. But what about how you're actually growing your business? I mean, you talked there about the importance of this, how you should really, you don't worry about the money side of it, don't worry about this side. And I imagine there's a lot of trainers here and here like, well, I need money. Like, I can't live without money. Like, how do these core values that create your brand and how you're hiring, all that kind of stuff, how do they relate to people who are maybe just starting out, people who have not even thinking about staff at the moment? And how does that impact, say, how they market their business and create new sales and things like that?
Well, okay, so say you have capacity for 10 people. Do you want 10 sessions a week you have capacity for? Do you want to have to sell 10 people onto those sessions every week? Or do you want 10 people to take the slots for the whole year? Ideally, you want the same 10, or even 2 people taking 5 slots, or 1 person taking all 10, or 5 people taking 2 slots. You want as few people as possible to stay as long as possible in the interim to build those foundations. We recently had a client, she's left this week after 4 years with us because her work patterns have changed. And she's like, look, I'm gutted. I just can't make it. She's got young kids, house redevelopment. She's like, I just can't make the sessions anymore. And I was like, yeah, that's fair enough. And I sent her a message and I said, you are the foundations upon MittFit, what MittFit was built on. You committing when we had no kit, you committing when there wasn't even lights, you brought your own mat. There was body weight. Now we have a full setup with all this. You committed then. And I appreciate that and I respect that because you have allowed us to grow here. MittFit without its clients is just an idea in my head. something that makes me sleep well at night. So it's like, how do I make those clients happy? So get your first client and do everything you can. Show them your appreciation. Go above and beyond. Because if you've only got one client, you're going to have a lot of spare time. I don't have a lot of spare time at the minute. So my team kind of deal with the clients. You have spare time. So write them a meal plan, check in with them. Do you want to book in a phone call this weekend? If they mention their favorite chocolates and Mars bar, buy them one for after this session. I'm not saying buy their loyalty. I'm saying show that you're actually listening to what they're talking about. Like Cambridge is multinational. So we're people from all over the world. You don't get your Davids, your Joes, and your Ashes all the time. You get very complicated names. We have Chinese clients, Indian clients. We had a Mongolian client sign up recently, Nigerian, people from all over the world with all kinds of names. So I work really hard to know their name, because I'm like, the least I can do is pronounce your name properly. So something as simple as that costs no money, but it shows I care about you. So when you're trying to get your first few clients, a big thing I've seen as well, and I was when I was thinking about coming on this podcast, I wanted to talk about this because it really, really annoys me. I can swear, can't I?
Yeah, because you can swear away.
No one gives a fuck about what you're training in the gym. I could not give a fuck about your workout. You've got your tripod, you've got your little setup. Look at me in my gym shop. Who gives a shit? Sally, who's got 3 stone to drop, 2 kids, a husband that works, she works full time and she's struggling to manage her life. She don't give a fuck about a 19-year-old prancing around gym shop. Stop posting about your shit. Put your shit to the side for 5 minutes and actually focus on your client. Like, go through my social media. You will never, ever, I've never got a video of me training. It's always, here's Hannah in her t-shirt. Here's this person in that. Great session with that person. Super proud of Eleanor, hit a PB today. Look how great Martin's getting on. Matt's just done a 19-minute 5K. Isn't that amazing? We talk about our clients because we care. You said you care about your clients, but you spend more energy working on your own program than you actually do the people that are paying you. Like, Jesus, take your head out of your ass. Literally, like, I had a trainer say to me once at the gym I worked at, he went, you do realize if you spent less time working on your clients, you'd actually have a better body. I mean, you do realize if you spent less time working on your better body, you'd have more clients. And he's since left the industry. And I'm like, there we go. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't care about my body. I get it. You've got a 6-pack. Great. 6-packs don't equal clients, because people look at that and they get scared. They go, I don't want to do what it takes for you to have that. I just want to feel better for my husband when we have sex. Like, that's literally it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that massive. Like, people don't care about I don't care unless I'm looking to power lift. I don't care how much you squat. Don't care. Because sometimes I go in, I've benched 100, 110 before, nearly killed me. Sometimes I go in and 60 feels like it's going to kill me. Doesn't mean anything to my clients. It does not matter how much I lift in a gym. It matters what I'm doing is just trying to continue. What matters is that I know how much my clients are lifting. So when they do a PB, I give them a high five. I'll give them a little gift. Just make them feel like they fucking matter, because they do matter. Even if you don't care about them, just pretend that you do, because they're paying you. At the very least, just act like you care, because they are paying you. They are paying for you to not have to sit in an office at a job that you hate. And that is something that's never lost to me. I get to do what I do. Yes, I've worked hard. Yes, I've sacrificed. Yes, I've lost a lot. Yes, I've spent a lot of money. But I get to work with some of the most, and there are clients that I have that I would have at my wedding, that I would want to be at my funeral. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the level of connection I've created with some of my clients. I've watched their kids grow up. I've had one of my clients, his son's 13 now. He's been a client 5 years. 12th of December 2018, he signed up, and he's been a client all that time. So I've known his son since he was 8 years old. He's now got into it. He's changed schools. He's gone up into a bigger school now. He's joined the school football team. He's a winger, but he's a bit scared. My client was like, do you know anyone that can help with that? Like, to train him? And I was like, well, I used to train academy lads. I've done this and this. I was like, I'll be about on Sunday. Let's just go to the park and have a kick about, and I'll just talk them through some bits. He was like, oh, how much? I was like, don't worry about it. Like, you've paid me monthly for 5 years. Like, your son needs help. I'm going to help. I've watched them grow up from 8 to 13. These are people you have an involvement with. There's not just some geezer paying me money every month. Like, I handwrite Christmas cards every year to all of my clients, and they always go, who'd you pay to write them then? And I'm like, I literally sit there handwriting to Ash, thank you so much for being at MittFit. Then I'll give a personalized little note in every card, so it's not just a generic print off send. It'll be like, Eleanor recently got it. She always wanted to bench. That's why she PTs with me. She wants to bench and she wants to do outdoor stuff. So I'll be like, so proud of you hitting. Her goal was to deadlift 80 kilos by Christmas, but we did it last week. So I'll be like, so proud of you hitting that 80K before Christmas. Big 2024 coming up. She then knows that card is specifically to her. And that's what, 12 seconds of writing? We're all literate. Do you know what I mean? We've all been taught to write. Just give your client a special little note, or have some water there for when they get there, or like a lot of our clients forget stuff. So we have a little box in the cupboard where they forget their, like Kelly texted me yesterday. She was like, oh, Joe, I forgot my raincoat. I don't have Chris's number. Can you put it in the cupboard? So I text Chris, Kelly's left her raincoat. Please put it in the cupboard. So when she goes to the session on Saturday, boom, her rain jacket's there. She knows it's safe. I went to Primark and bought 60 hairbands for £1 because we train women. So now you forget your hairband, some in the cupboard. I don't need one, but they're there. If I had a gym with toilets, I would have tampons and all stuff relating to periods, because you care. You're meant to care. Everyone says they get in the fitness industry because they care, and then no one does anything that actually shows they care. They just show themselves. I was like, what do you care about? Can we be specific? Is it about you, or do you actually care about the people you're training? And if you do care, don't be afraid to show them. Give them a high five. Where Chris is different to me is he'll go around and he fist bumps everyone when they get there, and he fist bumps everyone when they leave, whether it's 5 people or 30 people. I've never done that, and I still don't do it now. That's his thing. But he's like, I see you. Well done. He is confirming your attendance. He is saying, I'm your coach, and I see that you have turned up, and I'm recognizing that with some physical touch. I have seen you here. You're not just another number to us. You're not just a membership to us. You are someone. Last night, there's a company I know, they created this guide on menopause, and I know one of the ladies was speaking about how she's perimenopausal at the minute, and I don't really know a lot about it. So I bought that guide, boom, sent it to her. Hope this helps. 20 quid on the guide, boom. All of a sudden, she feels heard. And my mum was like, oh, can I read that? And then I know there's going to be a lot of women that I work with that, for the sake of 20 quid, I'm going to make 30 people's day better this weekend. Because I say, I hear you. I don't understand. I will never understand menopause. I will never understand what it is to be a woman, but it doesn't mean I can't help. And I will do what I can to help. I will buy a menopause guide from an expert and give it to you. There you go. Take it away. Keep it. Because that's just that's just showing that you actually care. So that's something that I get really passionate about, because I just think there's people I know that are everyone tries to be an online coach now, and I'm like, it's not as glamorous as you think. You're not going to be making 100K a month by Tuesday. Literally, you've never trained anyone in your life. How the hell do you think you can text someone coaching cues from the other side of the world? You've never worked with anyone before. And people,
conversation. For me, it really is.
It's go work in it. Do we all had to put in that hard work. Go do it too. Do you know what I mean? We've done it. We've done those shifts when no one turns up. We've done it tired. We've done it. I had a client speaking to me the other day. She's like, I've only ever known you to be late once. And the reason I was late, because I was in Morocco on the Monday, woke up at 6 a.m. in Morocco. We left the hotel at 6 p.m. in Morocco. So different continent to England, to Europe. We then traveled to the airport, got the flight, landed about 2 a.m. They lost our luggage. Didn't get the luggage till 4 a.m. Didn't get home from the airport until 5:45 in the morning. I had a PT session booked at 6:30 with someone that had somehow, but it was a new client. His wife had booked a session for him while I was away on a booking system I didn't know I had, by the way. So I was like, how has she done that? Didn't know I had it. So I'd already had to cancel once, because I was like, I'm really sorry. Didn't know I had the booking system. Going to have to cancel. So I went in and I PT'd him, and I worked all day. I did 13 sessions that day. It was a Tuesday. And I had 9 p.m. session, Katie, and she was like, how are you still awake? And I'm like, just powering through. 6:25 the next morning, session starts 6:30. My client rings me and he's like, you're not here yet. I know you had a 36-hour day yet. You've been up for 36 hours. You had a long last time. Are you awake at least? I was like, oh, no, I'm not. So I got up, got changed. I live quite close to work. I was about 7 minutes late to the session. They'd already done a warm-up. They'd already done an extended warm-up. And we just went straight into the session. To this day, no one has said a word. No one has tarnished my reputation. No one held it against me, because they know the reason I was tired isn't because I was partying, because I got stuck coming home from a different continent. And rather than saying, I'll take Tuesday off, I walked in the front door, I showered, I walked back out, and I went to work, and I did 13 sessions that day. So
it seems to be a lot more about it's more about the action you take than the words that you say. It seems to be that kind of way. Like, you've got to show that you're treating them like people and you care about them. And then by doing that, I guess you foster that community and people kind of stay with you for longer. Yeah.
Because then they back me up. So now when I'm tired because of my Crohn's and it's dark, if I turn up at 20, instead, I usually get there about 20 past and set up, my clients now help me. And the reason they started helping me put stuff together was when I was so inflamed, you couldn't see my wrist. I couldn't pick anything up. So my clients were like, tell us what you want, we'll get it done. Because they see the sweat and blood I put into helping them. So then when I need help, they don't even question it. Can you imagine being late to a session? If one of your staff did that, you'd be fuming, because you shouldn't be late. And I'm very much, you should not be late. But they understood the reason I was late, because I said I would do those PTs on a Tuesday. So it doesn't matter that I was late coming back from Morocco. It doesn't matter that someone lost my suitcase. It didn't matter that I was tired. None of that mattered. I said I was going to be there, so I was there. And that buys you so much sweat equity with people. They will literally run into hell for you, because they understand that you would do the same for them. And they are people that will stay with you for years and years and years. So rather than trying to sell £1,000 to 5 people, you get £5,000 from one person over the course of 3, 4, 5 years.
No, I mean, it's quite interesting, because that moves us on to the premise behind, I guess, retention. The idea, if you do that, you retain your clients for longer. And at the end of the day, as you mentioned earlier, it's easier and cheaper to keep a client retained for longer, and it'll make you more money really in the long term. We've only got about 5 minutes left, but I really want to spend some time talking about not just MittFit, but as we kind of talked a bit about retention there, what retention RR is. So do you want to try and round up, what is retention RR? What is this new business you're doing? And
cool. So thank you. Sorry, I talk so much. Sorry, I pretend I've just got all the time in the world. I love it. And one of my clients said to me, she's like, this is that conversation where, like, gun to your head, you need to talk about one topic for an hour. And it's like growing a business organically, bang. So retention, I started obviously building MittFit. Being in Cambridge, there's lots of local companies, and friends would start like, who makes your website? Who did this? I mean, Dave's team did my website now, but before I was doing it, it's like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I was showed, like, I've just had a massive passion for learning and for building a business, essentially. As much as I love fitness, I would say I love building a business more than I actually love fitness, as much as I do love fitness. So then lots of people were coming to me and asking questions and how are you doing? So I started helping them, and it started making them money. And I was kind of like, something in this. I've always wanted like an agency thing to consult, but I just thought I was about 10 years away from that. And then obviously I wasn't. People were asking for that now. So I came up with a company, and I was like, again, the name doesn't matter. It's just what you become synonymous with. So I was like, okay, retention RR, retention, reputation, return on investment. We help them retain more clients. We improve their reputation by doing so. Therefore, they get a return on their investment, which is essentially what I've done with MittFit. That's what retention RR stands for. And so I go into businesses. A lot of my clients are local clients. They're friends. They're people I know in business. And I'll go in and I essentially talk to them about, your business is a bucket. It's got loads of holes in. So advertising being the water, it's coming out. So you fill up all those holes, and then you load up with water at the end. So it's not to say that advertising is obsolete. Obviously, it's huge, but advertising is the accelerator. Paid ads, like what Dave does, and that's the accelerator. And Dave will know, if you don't have those systems in place, which is plug, where Lead Deck has been so great for MittFit, where those systems are in place, I can be busy doing what I need to do. And that advertising is just speeds up things. So advertising can be a bad thing for the wrong company. So if you are not ready, if you are not set up, if you don't have the systems in place, advertising is a no-go. And Dave will vouch for that. You need to get those systems in place, whether it's through Lead Deck or your own thing or whatever. Everyone needs to be singing off the same hymn sheet. So one of the companies I'm working with at the minute, they have a lead come in, which goes to the owner, who is very, very, very busy, 7-figure company, very, very, very busy. It also goes to the VA, who lives in the Philippines. So she works 2 p.m. till midnight. So I'm like, and then it goes to the office. One of them has to email the VA emails the client. The owner then emails the office manager. The office manager then rings the client. and then tries to get them booked in for a survey. And I'm like, no. This person fills out the request online through a form that then automatically emails the owner, emails the VA, confirms to the client that they've had that booking. It then sends them to a separate landing page to book in a call with the office manager, but then also messages the office manager to let them know that. So then no one actually has to do anything and everyone knows where they need to be. So straight away, shortening up that system. Once we then put advertisement in, that's a system that can flow through. And these calendars that I've done it through links up to their current one, so their head engineer won't get double booked. So again, it's improving your reputation because you're not going to get double booked. So it's looking at what's going wrong with the business. You have to have a really honest head. You have to go, what's not working, fix that, then you turn on the pipes, then you load it up. If you chuck you could get a V8 bi-turbo massive engine, Formula One engine. If there's no wheels on the car, it's not going to go anywhere. If there's 3 wheels on the car, you're going to go around in circles. So you need to make sure everything is working, then you can go.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what retention does.
Cool. And if anyone's listening to this and they want to try and find out more about either MittFit or even retention RR, what would they do?
They can hit me up on socials. Joe Mitton Life is like my business kind of social. MittFit has a social page as well. If anyone just wants to chat business, I'm all over that. I love talking about it. You can always learn. Every day is a school day, so I love just chatting, as you can see. So yeah, anyone that wants to kind of
this might be the quietest I've been on an episode.
You've done nothing. You said you were going to play devil's advocate. Does that mean I've been perfect?
It's spot on all the way through.
I'll just talk to myself. Cool. You boys go off. I'll just carry on talking to myself.
You're talking there all day. That's cool, man. Seriously,
there is one thing then, like you say, the devil's advocate. I know you were saying like people film themselves in the gym, and that's isn't really going to attract clients. It really comes down to if they're training in the gym for the wrong audience. For example, like if you're doing a massive CrossFit, super intense workout, but you actually help busy mums who've got 3 or 4 stone to lose, then what you're showing on your socials is not going to match what they expect. And like I said, it's going to petrify them and they're never going to sign up. But if you are doing heavy, crazy, intense CrossFit workouts, and that is your offering, that is how you bring people in because that's what they want, then that is where they do marry up. So make sure what you're posting on the social media is relevant to the people that you want to bring into the business.
Yeah, I think the gripe for me there is I know you're trying to train generic people that are going to pay you £100 a month, but you're filming yourself in the gym. If you're like, guys, I'm competing for high rocks, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, then film your workouts. If I'm trying to train academy footballers, I will film the football sessions I'm doing. That makes so much sense. But it's just clarity around your niche, and then your marketing goes out to that. I think the gripe with that is people are trying to train the mums that have 2 or 3 stone to lose, dress size to drop, but they're showing the 21-year-old selves and skimpy nothings training in a busy pure gym, and you're trying to put a square into a round peg kind of thing. It just doesn't work. So I think that's understanding your business and what you're trying to offer, and where we built up that kind of social presence and respect and trust with people. Now that we're going into schools, they go, okay, they've not done this before, but they've proven for years that they are nice people and they care. Therefore, we'll trust, because everyone has to be the first one, the first school, the first client. Everyone has to be the first one. So it's kind of, if you are trying to change direction, that's okay. Take that leap. Always be brave. Take action. I'm saying if you're just getting into the game right now, everything in you is going to tell you to go to the gym, train and film it. And I'm telling you, no one gives a fuck. What you need to do is get your mum, your dad, your cousins, make a list of everyone you know, offer them a free personal training session, and then film a selfie video with them asking what they liked about it. That will go 1,000 times further for you. And that's something you can keep forever. Then a workout in the gym will get you nothing. And Dave was talking on a post on social today about I think it was last night, the conversion percentages in fitness businesses around 10%. Our conversions for organic is 80%. So 8 out of 10 people that contact us, we sign up. because when they contact us, they're already 1 foot over the line. Their question isn't what do you do? Their question is, how do I sign up? You send them a link, bang, they pay it, cool, see you tonight, let's go. It's because we do so much solid marketing and the way we speak and everything we post. Like, for example, it's raining. We said it's raining at the minute. I was at a session the other night. I did a selfie video. People ask me what happens when it's raining. We're still here getting shit done. And there's people training, there's people happy, smiling. So yes, it's raining. Yes, we're still here. Yes, we're getting wet, but people are still smiling and it's still good. So then I've answered that question for you before you've even had, so you don't have to message me and goes, oh, what happens when it's dark, cold and wet? Bang, lights, still going, happy smiles. I'm not talking about what I ate for dinner. I'm answering their questions through social media. So when they come to me to sign up, it isn't what happens when it rains. It's how do I sign up? Where do I book in for sessions? When can I start? And then they're 90% sold anyway. It's not a case of like, do I want this? Is it right for me? It's when can I start? So you'll massively increase your conversions by speak. And that was actually someone who owns a fitness company, and he told me very early on, he was like, mate, you're trying to do too many different things. And he said, you just need to do this. And since we've just done that, the business is just exponential growth organically as well. I think in 7 years, I've spent maybe 5 or 6 grand on ads. That's it. And we've made multiple 6 figures.
That really is the big thing with social, like you say. Just make sure you're posting and you're answering questions to the audience that are following you to give them the confidence. And I think that's like the perfect ending there to the episode, that to make sure, like, don't just post anything. Be specific about what you post. When people do see it, they're confident. When they reach out, they're more or less sold anyway. So yeah, you can skip the rest of the episode, the last 50 minutes, and just take that 1 minute of what Joe just said.
Yeah, just ignore me. I just chat shit. I waffle.
Cool, Joe. Appreciate you coming on. Obviously, we'll probably get you on, I don't know, maybe another 6 months again, so we can keep tracking the journey. Obviously, the first time you've come onto the FitPro Social podcast, but you've been on my other podcast, 2 or 3 times now, so we can see where you develop and where the business goes further down the line. But no, I appreciate you coming on today. I
appreciate everything you do. Yeah. Cheers. Yeah. You've been, I would be lying if I said you weren't a big part of the growth we have had. You built our website. I was one of the first people to sign up to Lead Deck. I've been a FitPro client for a long, long time now. So fully believe in you and the product. And that has been a massive part. This is a testimonial, take it, video testimonial. Lead Deck has changed MittFit as a business and has been a huge part of our growth this year. So I think you'll remember in the beginning, I was paying, but wasn't really using it.
Yeah.
And about after a year of paying, I was like, spent hundreds of quid on something I wasn't using. And I went, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I want to step it up. That was earlier this year. And it's no coincidence that stepping things up with Lead Deck has then massively grown our business as well. So yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't know, me and Joe have actually been to Ibiza together. Not drinking.
We have. No, we have. I was drinking that holiday. That was the holiday that when I came back, my liver started failing. It was I had that holiday. I dieted. I got COVID. I went on holiday. I drank loads. I came back. Business stress, hospital, liver failure. Boom, love it. But yeah, that was nothing to do with Dave though. That was self-inflicted. But yeah, Dave and I have been in Ibiza for a very cool wedding. That was an amazing wedding. And in case Leanne and Damo are watching. Thanks for the invite.
Well,
sick.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Joe, thank you for coming on. Ash, well done for being quiet. We'll see you all next week, probably with another guest interview. But yeah, like you said, if you want to know more about Joe, do reach out to him, MittFit or Retention on socials, and have a chat. Joe, appreciate you coming today. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you again, I'm sure.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure, Dennis. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Hey, just want to say a big thank you for sticking around to the end of this week's episode. As a big thank you, head over to thefitproportal.com/free and we'll give you a load of additional guides, social media, Facebook ads, email scripts, and so much more to really help you start generating leads, making more sales, and growing your fitness business. I'll see you all next time.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the FitPro Social. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.